Ladies and gentlemen, today we are greeted by a rare sight. A rare Norscan horde far from their homeland, an endangered species. Their numbers are dwindling by the day. And today they are faced with such a crisis as they are hunted down to the last man. And Bretonnia will try and see their species pushed forever closer to the brink of extinction. I'll be taking the Norscans under wing today, and Rinsler will have control of the Bretonnians, trying to end this Norscan threat. So for the Norscan army that I'm going to be bringing today, we do have some marauders for that front line, just there to kind of soak up some of that missile fire with their shields. And in support is going to be a couple of Fimir warriors, one of which is going to be the Miststalkers. These guys do have a nice little bit of stock, so they're going to be able to get a nice bit closer. Normally you're going to be facing quite a few archers, so closing that distance is going to be rather nice. And then some great weapons on the other side with their bonus versus large, very good against Bretonnian Cav. And then some Marauder Berserkers really trying to break that front line as quickly as they can. For the Lord and Heroes, we do have Throg, the Troll King. He is going to be standing tall, trying to lead what he can. And he has that bonus versus large armor piercing, the Frostbite as well, giving a nice little reduction to speed. And he is just going to be bringing Foe Seeker today. Nothing too special, just a bonus versus large armor piercing, everything you can love for to bring against Bretonnia. And a Shaman Sorcerer of Death bringing Spirit Leech and Soul Blight to the battle today. He's going to be on a horseback, getting a nice little bit of mobility. So that's minus 30 armor, minus 25 armor piercing, and base weapon damage. So against a blob of cavalry, that can do quite well indeed. Now for the mobility, we are going to be seeing Horse Masters spread across in the vanguard, going to be trying to pepper down the Bretonnian forces. And they can do some nice damage over time, so they're able to use up all their ammunition. Some nice good movements here. But for Bretonnia, to counter them, they are going to be bringing 3 of the mounted yeoman archers. Now these guys do have 125 range over the 80 range of Marauder horsemen, so they're going to be able to outrange them. They have a nice bit of speed, and with the Wardens of Montfort, the Arawar does have poison as well, so that's going to be reducing that even more so than before. And then King Lewin Leoncoeur is going to be flying high in the sky. He's going to have a paladin in support, and for his abilities he is going to be bringing the Blessing of the Lady as well as Lady's Champion, Stand Your Ground, and the Sword of Corone. Some good stuff on that. For the infantry, it is going to be peasant mobs in the forefront, and they are going to be backed up by some spearmen at arms and some men at arms with pole arms, really hoping that Norscan's going to be bringing some large units. And large units they will be bringing. Throg and those Fimir, definitely going to be a little bit harder to get through some of those pole arms. Knights of the Lionheart of the Knights of the Realm Arawar, and then some more Knights of the Realm are going to be kind of mixed throughout this. Now the Knights of the Lionheart do have that magic damage, so against like Skin Wolves and the like, they can really kind of bypass that physical resist that they do innately have. For spellcasting, it is going to be a Damsel of Life. Damsel of Life is going to be bringing Earthblood and Regrowth, as well as a Scroll of Shielding, really hoping to keep King Lewin and the cavalry fighting for as long as they can. But let's get things rolling in earnest as the skirmish forces are going to get underway. But now that the Norscans are going to be outnumbering the Bretonnians, but the Bretonnians have that advantage in terms of range, so they're going to be able to just kind of pepper away at the edge of the Marauders horsemen's range themselves, and just kind of get some very nice trade in that regard. So some nice micro is going to be able to allow them to shoot without being shot at too much, and you just kind of see them move forward and back, just trying to keep the aim of those Marauder horsemen and horsemasters just off by a little bit, while a couple of the horsemen and one of the horsemasters is going to be trying to cycle around into that back line, trying to put some pressure on the rest of the Bretonnians, kind of pull their attention in multiple directions here, while these mounted yeomen are just going to be really content to just kind of getting some shots off, just moving forefront on that front of the Norscan line, while the rest of the Norscans are going to be pushing high up this hill over here, trying to just kind of force the Bretonnians to respond and get a little bit of that hill advantage as well. But the Knights of the Realm are going to be trying to get some nice free charges, and now these Miststalkers just being spotted now. These Knights of the Realm definitely thinking they were going to be getting some free charges, but with these Miststalkers, they're going to be thinking, having second thoughts on this engagement here, and are going to be pulling right on back, as are the rest of the Knights of the Realm. Definitely don't want to be tangling with these Miststalkers and the Fimir warriors with great weapons as well. Definitely not a fight they're going to be wanting to take, as Peasant Mob going to be facing the business end of Throg's hammer, as the Marauders now going to be engaging engaging with that peasant mob. Knights of the Realm and King Lewin here are going to be trying to get some support in both the Paladin, but thinking of diving on down right into these Fimir Warrior. Now, they do have some infantry support, but this is not necessarily a fight that you're going to be wanting to take. These guys are bonus versus large and armor piercing, but they are taking a decent amount of damage so far and haven't been able to really land any hits on Paladin and King Lewin. And with the cavalry here, they have to kind of keeping them at bay, but Throg, seeing his nice juicy target sitting on the ground, is going to be charging on forward. Now, he does get the Sword of Corone down, minus 24 melee defense and armor, so he's going to be really dishing out some decent damage here, but Throg wading through his units, trying to get his claws on the Paladin and King Lewin, and a very good fight for Norsca here. They have plenty of infantry support, but in come the Knights of the Lionhearted. Nice charge right down into these units, able to get some decent damage off of this, as well as these men-at-arms with polearms. Going to be starting to trade very well into those Fimir Warriors, and Throg, and definitely going to be wanting to pull out of there, looking for some engagements elsewhere, as the Knights of the Realm on this far flank going to be pushing back these Marauder Horsemen and Horse Masters, Mounted Yeomen, trading very well, getting some nice damage in on that end. Kind of swing out to see how things are doing, as these two units of Skirmish Calf have been able to kind of get into the backs of the Bretonnians. Going to be getting some nice volleys into these Knights of the Realm, while these Fimir Warriors, the Miststalkers, and these Marauders going to be pushing back against the cavalry, while King Lewin and the Paladin, seeing that Shaman Sorcerer a little isolated, going to be landing some nice hits, but Throg is there to answer the call. We do get a Spirit Leech going down on King Lewin, trying to get some a little bit of damage in before that Shaman Sorcerer is able to kind of peel away and kind of get King Lewin's attention focused more on the units that the Norscans want them to be fighting. That is going to be these Fimir Warrior and Throg, and doing some nice damage as the hammer does fall, but not a whole lot of damage is being dealt so far, and some good healing coming in from that Damsel of Life is able to kind of keep them all tapped off as she is kind of circling around that backline. But the infantry for the Bretonnians is falling bit by bit as the Marauders and the Marauder Berserkers are pushing quickly through the men-at-arms with polearms and the peasant mob, and are now going to be pushing back these Wardens of Montfort and kind of getting into the rest of the infantry. As we swing in, we got a nice little engagement in the backline as King Lewin dropping that Sword of Corone, really pinning in these Miststalkers and these Marauders with plenty of units to spare. We got the Spearmen at Arms with their bonus versus large, Knights Lionheart, all of these units, but we do get a Soul Blight as well, so minus 30 armor, minus 25 armor piercing, and that base weapon damage. So it's going to allow these Miststalkers and these Marauders to really weather the storm that King Lewin's ability did pop there. So a nice little counter effect on the use of that, as now the Damsel of Light is kind of trying to get some distance between the rest, as these Miststalkers just continue to wade through, but they have lost their Marauder support and are completely surrounded on all sides, so they're not going to be faring too well at this point on. But we still have a very dangerous group of units here. Marauder Berserkers, Fimir Warriors with great weapons, and the Throg, the Troll King, all standing very strong. Well, they're going to be taking some shots in from these Mounted Yeoman Archers, and then we'll be getting some very nice damage into those Marauder Berserkers. Knights of Lionheart trying to get a little bit of damage in on these Marauder Berserkers, but the Fimir Warriors with great weapons going to be turning the corner and dropping their own hammers down on to these Knights, while the Shaman Sorcerer Death is kind of in a little bit of a bad spot, dropping another Soul Blight down, it looks like, or that was just kind of the Earthblood going down. I think that is the Sword of Corone, possibly trying to finish off those Fimir Warriors over on the far flank, and the Shaman Sorcerer continue to take more damage, starting to waver a bit, but not before the Knights of the Lionhearted do rout themselves, as Throg and the Fimir Warriors with great weapons do charge in, shattering those units. King Lewin also kind of diving in on to that engagement, but there's just so many Norscans still left on the field. Marauder Horsemen, Horse Masters doing some nice shots in, and these Marauders and these Marauder Berserkers will have no problems whatsoever dealing with these Spearmen and that peasant mob. And King Lewin had taken a bunch of damage here in this engagement, as the Fimir Warriors and Throg doing what they do best and dealing with large targets. And King Lewin trying to stay alive and well, as he has a Scroll of Shielding and a Regrowth going down, but Throg is just a beast in this engagement, and he is landing hit after hit, dropping King Lewin farther and farther. King Lewin only has so much healing left, and now the surround does collapse. Marauder Horsemen and Horsemasters committing to this engagement, really trying to pin in King Lewin as best they can. However, King Lewin is able to kind of push through with his own mass, and is going to be trying to take flight into the sky and kind of just recruit himself just a bit, as the Marauder Horsemen, Horsemasters are all kind of off onto the fringes, chasing down what they can, as the Bretonnians are put to rout. King Lewin and the Damsel of Life. Now, the Damsel of Life is the only thing that is left kind of on the ground that's really worth chasing. King Lewin just kind of be circling ahead, Throg and the rest just kind of diving in. But King Lewin, seeing that all hope is pretty much lost, is going to be trying to make his final last stand, and Throg is more than going to welcome him with open arms and a hammer to boot right into the face of King Lewin. And with that, he's going to shatter, and the Norskins going to stave off a little bit more of that extinction as they do come through in the end. So let's take a look at that after battle report, see how things did fare on both sides. So for the Bretonnians, led by Rinsler, King Lewin getting 1,300, Paladin himself getting 500, and the rest of the units, peasants, not going to be doing it too much as expected. Spearmen at Arms, nothing too much on that end. Kind of just looking through the cavalry, not getting a whole lot of value. Knights of the Lion-Hearted did all right with 740, and actually the mounted yeoman archers actually did fairly decently themselves, 600, 800 on them, able to trade pretty well into the Marauder horsemen. As for the Norscan side of things, the Femur Warriors, the Miststalkers, doing decent work, 1,200, 1,500 on the Femur Warriors with great weapons. Marauder Horse Masters, 300, 600, and then some of the other horsemen doing some okay work, 750 on these guys, mighty nice. And these Marauder Berserkers getting 1,600 in total damage. Definitely plenty of peasants and spearmen at arms and men at arms and all of the like to kill for them. 125 kills to boot on that, 600, 391, and then kind of the rest of the Marauders not really going to be expecting too much. Shaman Sorcerer getting some decent Spirit Leeches in, and some nice Soul Blights as well to counteract King Lewin's Sword of Corone. And then Throg, the Troll King, whopping in with 2,700 in total damage value. Very well fought battle. So Norskins, while they are on the decline, they are not out of the fight just yet, and showing that they still have a little teeth left in them as they are able to climb atop Bretonnia and emerge victorious for one battle at least. Well, that is all I'm going to have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good one.